Yeah, so let's good to go. So welcome to the Lighting Talks on Data Weekender. I really love this format. The only complaint it's if it's not in person, but besides that, it's great. I've looked at the lineup and I've looked a bit of the session are great. Let me try to let's say continue on the same vein. So who am I? I'm Catalin Gheorghiu. I'm solution architect at the PAM system. From the year 2011, each year Microsoft awarded me the title of most valuable professional. My current category is IoT. But yeah, also I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. But looking about IoT, what's IoT without processing data? Because IoT generates data, and you need to do uh, insights. You need to make action on top of it. So essentially, I have a lot of interest in the data platform. I'm speaking at SQL events for, let's say, at least 11 years. So let's move on. I have only 3 slides if you heard. This is the second one. I'm apologizing if we have some cat zooming in. And this will be our focal point because this is the lighting talk. Unfortunately, in fact, we do not have time to show you a lot of things. What's the purpose of this lighting talk? It's to show you why, what you can do, and what you have around to get your bearings when you have a problem with data validation. So, why in the earth we're going to talk about data validation? So I heard, let's say, bad example. I've seen recently a movie about the subprime mortgage crisis. So they have an administrative data. They have some spurious data in and something. Bad example. A better example would be you have a temperature sensor and you're getting data all over the place. Data that won't happen on Earth, but will happen on the sun. Okay, you can argue that on this simplistic example, yes, we can use a simple query and we get rid of it. But there are more complex cases. Um, so I'm talking about absolutely generic stuff. It's I won't touch anything that I'm doing at work, a lot of confidentially. But let's say on generic. Because I cannot query you in an efficient manner, I will just throw you some terminology that I'm going to use in this lightning talk. So the first term, it's extract, transform, and load, ETL. I'm going to refer to ETL afterwards. It's a process combining data from multiple sources into a large central repository called data warehouse. ETL use a set of business rules to clean and organize raw data and to prepare it for storage, maybe data analysis, machine learning, and whatever. Then we are going to Delta. We have 2 Delta terms. One is Delta Lake. In fact, not Delta Lake, data table. It's a way to store data in tables. And another term which it's near is Delta Live table, has a live into it, which allows you to describe how the data flows between those tables declaratively. So Delta Live tables, it's a declarative framework that manage many Delta tables by creating them and keeping them up to date. Both terms, we're going to use them afterwards. So to have a memory point, Delta tables, a data format. Delta Live tables, it's a data pipeline framework. So let's talk about data validation. We start. What our boss said, yes, we need to validate the data, have a lot of junk, and we want to see what's up. You start looking on internet, and you discover Delta Live tables. I promise you that I got it back to it. So we'll compare whatever we found by several categories. The first one is on what it works. So this works on Databricks and Azure Databricks, of course, no Fabric. I've seen someplace on internet that there are there are requests to make it run also on Fabric. And let's remember, Fabric, it's a pretty new offering, so they're catching up. So what it is really? Delta Live tables, mention it before declarative ATL framework to build reliable end-to-end pipelines. So they add an abstraction layer over Spark. Okay, we can talk about what Spark structured streaming for incremental stateful processing. Why we add this layer? Better performance management and visibility. You can access Delta live tables from the workflow tab in Databricks. And then with jobs, you have UI and you have an API. Here we use expectations to define data quality constraints on the contents of a data set. Expectation allow us to guarantee data arriving in tables, meets data quality requirements, and provide insights into data quality for each pipeline update. On which level they work, on a table and column level, contents of the data set. What code you use to do this? So we apply expectation in queries using Python, decorators, and SQL constant clauses. We have actions on warn, drop, fail. These are the actions that we can take. The other option, it's great expectation. Now, somehow some poetic justice, again, to remember the name, with the Dickens. You know, you have a bad guy that gives you, escape bait guy that gives you money. So here you have escape bait data that you need to catch, and they pay you to do that. Okay, on what it works. So this works, of course, on Databricks, of course, on Azure Databricks, and then Fabric. So again, we got to the point. So what it's really, it's an open source Python library that provides a framework from the script and validated the accepted state of data. It helps engineers and data scientists to ensure the data meets specific quality standards before using it for analysis, machine learning, data-driven test. It's designed to work with batches of data. So if you want to use it on Spark structured streaming, you need to implement your checks inside the functions that it's passed. With data will be passed, and for each an argument to provide stream. So on what level it works? Again, table and column. Again, we're talking about expectation. Expectation operates like a unit test that can be easily created and executed to check if your data meets all the quality requirements defined by you or your stakeholders. What we code, a good question, if you are on person for a chocolate, on Python, because it's open source Python library. How we work with Fabric? So let's remember, Delta Lake, we get back at, no, Delta Lake table format is the unified format of the lakehouse in Fabric. So we ingest data into Delta tables, and then while doing data validation, great expectations, send log to Azure Monitor. Then we use checkpoints. The other options is to using the recent integration of Microsoft Fabric semantic link. So great expectation now can access semantic models, and this enables further seamless collaboration between data scientists and business analysts on these topics. Semantic links, it's a feature of Microsoft Fabric that establish a connection between semantic models. Think about Power BI data sets and Synapse Data Science. So in short, and with 1 minute and 1 second to spare, these are the options that you have today. So what I plan to do with this lightning dark to tell you that this is important. This is done outside. And even though that Fabric is the new kid on the block, you still have options doing this in Fabric. And now you know where to look. Let's put it this way: if we're touching Databricks and the rest, in Databricks and Fabric, you should look also. You should look only at the great expectation. Now get to the last slides. Again, if you have a question, unfortunately, you see that here we did not go very deep into stuff, just to give you some bearings. If you have further question, reach me on LinkedIn. I usually answer much faster than I answer work mails. So if this is good for you. So this being said, thank you very much, and thank you very much, the organizer. This was a great opportunity, and I've just also my phone tell me that my time is up. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. Thank you for joining this session on Introduction to Copilot in Data Factory Experience within Microsoft Fabric. So before we start, a little bit introduction about myself. I am Nandan Hegde. I work as a data architect in my current organization, which is Accenture. I am a 2 times Microsoft Data MVP and a Microsoft Fabric super user. You all can reach out to me via my Twitter account or via my LinkedIn ID as well. Enough about myself. Let's move on to the major agenda behind this. Now, I apologize in advance to those who are already familiar with what is Microsoft Fabric, but for the newcomers, I'll give a brief introduction about what Microsoft Fabric is. Now, Microsoft Fabric is a software as a service tool that Microsoft has provided, which is an end-to-end analytics and data platform designed for enterprises that require a unified solution. And it covers everything from data factory, meaning the data moment, data engineering, data warehousing, real-time intelligence, and reporting and analytics, that is Power BI. So in today's session, we would be covering the data factory experience of Microsoft Fabric and the Copilot within that. Now, the data factory is one of the experience within Microsoft Fabric, which comprises of two different features. One is the data pipelines and another is the data flow. So we would be covering the Copilot aspect within both those features or functionalities. Now, one of the prerequisite to have Copilot experience within the data factory experience in Microsoft Fabric is one needs to have a fabric capacity of F64 or above in the supported region. As of today, not every region supports Copilot, even if it is F64 or above capacity. So one has to go through that specified list and have a capacity of F64 or above. Another is within the Power BI or the Fabric admin portal, one needs to enable the users can use Copilot and other features powered by Azure OpenAI property. So now, enough about the theoretical aspect. Let's go to the practical scenarios. So, uh, since there's some internet lag, I'll have to close my video aspect. So now, as I first stated, that the first requirement is the fabric capacity should have a minimum of F64. And that's what it is in the Power BI workspace setting that I have created. I have an F64 capacity enabled. Now, aspect is what do we mean by Copilot? Now, Copilot is basically a generative AI tool. That is the general definition of Copilot. Now, Copilot for data pipelines within Data Factory experience provides AI capabilities for users like us to effortlessly create complex data pipelines efficiently, troubleshoot error messages, and easily understand complex data pipelines which is developed by others. So now let's go and look at the Copilot experience within the data pipeline. So the first aspect is within pipeline aspect, go and click on the Copilot aspect. Now, the first aspect is it helps one effortlessly create complex data pipeline. So in this scenario, I already have some ready-made prompts that I'll be using in. So the first aspect is I want to create a pipeline that copies data from an Azure SQL database to a lakehouse and send notifications to a team channel in case if it is fails. So just having this prompt and executing it would automatically generate the necessary activities needed to execute those activities. Now, it takes some time. So by the time it is, as you all can see, correct? My requirement was to copy from an Azure SQL database to a lakehouse and notify in case if there is a failure. Now, Copilot also allows us to efficiently update the connections through that. So now here, just having a slash, the necessary connection, that is I want to copy from an Azure SQL database to a destination connection, adding a slash would give me a drop down of all the existing connections that I already have. So I want to map it to the lake house and I'll execute this. What should automatically go and update the source and the destination details within the corresponding activity that was created. Just a couple of prompts and I was able to map to the corresponding source and the destination. But now within the source, it is asking me for all the necessary aspects like tables and the destination table name as well. So adding these co-prompts, one can easily recreate the experience or the activity that is needed. Now the next one is, imagine that so just having a couple of prompts, one can easily create it. Now one might wonder that rather than creating everything step by step, is there a full-fledged aspect for the same? So yes, in case if you all have a ready-made co-prompt ready, which the AI prompt ready that contains everything from scratch. So by the time this is getting created, so in case if I provide everything like create a copy data, here it was a default copy activity with the zero name, but here I'm explicitly providing the activity name should be AZ copy. I'm providing the source connection name and the table name. So having an improved version of the AI prompt reduces our manual efforts of providing the connection names afterwards. So by the time this is getting executed, let me go to the second scenario of the aspect, that is summarizing. Imagine if you come to an organization wherein the pipeline is already created. Imagine this pipeline is already ready, which is a complicated flow. Rather than deep diving into every activity myself, I can this pipeline. It would automatically summarize, go across all the activities, check across its descriptions or use cases, and generate a brief summary of the same. So this aspect states that this pipeline triggers a Power BI dataset refresh activity using this web activity, and it would continue till this time the status for every seconds. And if the refresh fails, it would throw a corresponding error for the same. So the summarize property helps in certain execution aspect of the same. Now, if you all see, the copy activity got created completely with the necessary source and the destination details. Now let me add a fail activity. And let me fail it with certain value. And let me run the pipeline. So the third scenario of Copilot is it helps identify the issues and troubleshoot the error messages effectively, providing the necessary solutions. So by the time this is getting executed, this is a copy activity and it would fail. So Copilot within data pipeline supports three use cases. One is creating complex pipelines. Second is summarizing the pipelines. And the third is with respect to efficiently troubleshooting the error messages. How to troubleshoot the error message in case of an error aspect? Within the error aspect, I see the Copilot error insights. This would generate the necessary insights and provide us the troubleshooting steps for the same. So in this way, data pipeline experience helps, and it states that the error code is 1 because it is a user error that I generated, and it provides the necessary link, Microsoft documentation link. Now moving to the data flow Gen 2 experience, Copilot. Now within data flow Gen 2, one can create new transformation steps within an existing query, provide a summary of the query, or generate a new query that may include sample data or a reference to an existing query. So now let's quickly take certain changes, like I have a sales customer table and I have a product table. Now within the customer table, I have Mr. and Mrs. Correct. So now I want to filter only male customers. So just providing this prompt, it would automatically go and filter out the necessary records and keep only male customers. By the time this is getting executed, let me create another prompt that so though the data contained Mr. and Mrs., Copilot was smart enough to understand that Mr. maps to the male, and it automatically filtered out female records and maintained only male records. Now I want to drop all columns except customer ID and the columns that contain name. So just keeping this, that keep only the customer ID and name columns, even though it's customer without space ID. Copilot is smart enough to take an understanding of those filtering aspect and retain those specific columns. Now, similar to how Copilot added a couple of aspects, now I can go and tell it to describe this query. Now this query, now the Copilot would come and summarize this aspect for the same. By the time this is getting created, Copilot can also create a separate table altogether. So now the summarized version of the query stated that I'm connecting to a database, I'm filtering the title column based on Mr. and I've only kept these columns. Now, as a Copilot, I can even create a new entity altogether, wherein I'm given to create a new date table with the corresponding values, and it would correspondingly create a table corresponding to the necessary values. So all in all, one can state that Copilot in Fabric
Hi,
in
Nandan. I'm
Data
just
Factory.
keeping an eye on the time for you because you've gone over by a couple of minutes. It's fine. You can go on for a bit longer. Oh.
Sure, I'll close it for the last
No,
5 minutes.
it's fine. You can carry on. Yeah, to be honest, we have two speakers who have yet to appear, so you could have gone on for a bit longer to wrap things up. It's fine.
Okay, thank you. So now in the Copilot prompt, I was able to create a date table with the necessary columns. Customers to articulate their requirements for creating data integration solutions using Dataflow Gen 2. And essentially, Copilot in Data Factory operates like a subject matter expert collaborating with you to design your data flows. So this concludes the aspect. Thank you, everyone.
Agenda for this session: super fast bios about the DP600, DP700 and tails, visual differences, and then advice towards the end. So this is Pragati. She's one of the other organisers for Data Weekender. As some of you are aware, she had to leave a bit earlier today. This is me, and I'm also one of the organisers of Data Weekender, and all my details, etc., can be found online. So let's jump straight into it. We've got 14 minutes to do this, so there you go. So about the DP600 exam, and the animation was a bit off on this one. So it focuses on the fabric analyst engineer role. The skills measured actually changed last November. That's something I want to get across to all of you here. So for those of you who have done DP600 in the past, or you're looking to do it now, be aware that the skills for it have changed. It now focuses more on the Power BI workload. I'll cover a bit more about it shortly. So as you can see, it focuses more now on semantic models within Power BI rather than the data engineering aspects, which some of you may have done when you studied for the DP600 in the past. So there are some fresh facts about the DP600 that we should cover here. So it will not be replaced by the DP700 exam, just to make that very clear for you all. Exposure to multiple workloads are still required, so you still need to know knowledge about, for example, data warehouse and lake houses. You also need to now know knowledge about KQL. More importantly, you actually now need to know knowledge about real-time intelligence. And Power BI professionals studying for this particular exam still need to know about other skill sets as well. So yeah, like I mentioned, you still need to know about lake houses, warehouses, etc., etc. And data engineers will still need deep Power BI knowledge. So just quickly cover what has been removed from the old skills measure for the DP600. So Planner Data Analytics Environment has now gone. So is how to create objects in a lake house or a data warehouse. How to explore and analyze data. References to DAX Studio and Tabular Editor has now been removed from skills measured. So whereas in the past you needed knowledge about both of those to do the DP600 exam, they are no longer there, so be aware of that. There are some changes to what Microsoft calls the analytics development life cycle. So in other words, aspects relating to life cycle management. So only textual changes, to be honest. So for example, configure version control is now implement version control. Plan and implement deployment solutions is now called create and configure deployment pipelines. So in other words, they're giving you clarity that you need to know about deployment pipelines now. And that's it. That's the main two changes in that area. Everything else, you basically still need the same amount of knowledge for the analytics development lifecycle as you did before for the DP600 exam. So let's now quickly cover about the DP700 exam. And if anyone's got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So it is aimed at data engineers. So basically for working. Because this is AbLib, this is obviously a previous session. It says currently in beta. That's a lie. It's now generally available. So you can take the full-blown version of this exam now to gain the certification. When you click to complete the exam now, you will know straight away if you have passed. And all of us who passed the beta exam in the past all found out a while back as well, including myself. So you need to have knowledge about T-SQL, so Transact SQL, the same SQL language you've used as SQL Server over the years. PySpark, so basically Python when you're working with lakehouses, etc. And KQL, which stands for the Custom Query Language. So that's what you use to query, for example, KQL databases, the real-time data basically that's coming in. So in other words, you need to have knowledge about the data warehouse workload, lakehouses, in other words, a data engineering workload, and real-time intelligence. And you need to have knowledge about monitoring and performance tuning for all three of these as well. So I wanted to make sure you're all aware of this. So the main differences are that the DP600 is aimed for analytics engineers. It does sound similar, and some of you are probably wondering what's the difference between the two. Analytics engineers, in the context of working in Microsoft Fabric, actually go and curate with the semantic models as well. You're more focused on doing the dimension modeling with star schemas. Maybe if you missed one of the earlier Power BI sessions, Snowflake schemas as well. So that is essentially the more of the focus for the analytics engineer there, is curating the data and making it available for visualization purposes. Whereas the data engineering role more focuses on, obviously, the core data engineering skills from over the years. It's where you focus more on the traditional movement of the data and how to actually transform it between layers in, for example, if you're using the medallion architecture, which some of you probably seen referenced today. So knowledge about different workloads are required, and I do tend to show some different heat maps relating to this now. In fact, I might be able to show you them still in Fabric. Give me a moment. I will go over in the Microsoft Fabric. And by now, I'm guessing the majority of you have seen this or seen how Fabric now looks, because it's had a facelift. It appears at this moment in time my keyboard doesn't want to play nicely, so I will do this the old-fashioned way of scrolling through. Just bear with me. I apologize for the scrolling, everybody, but I'm just trying to quickly find something for you all. So here you go. So I have two different heat maps here, and this shows the distribution of the self-study material for both the different certifications according to the estimated time in minutes. So as you can see here for the 600 exam, there's a big focus on working with data warehouses and Power BI, and then a very small amount on data science as well, but that's purely because part of the recommended learn material for the DP600 is getting started with Fabric, and that contains a module about data science. So don't take this as a rule of thumb. Whereas for the 700 exam, as you can see, it's more dominated by real-time intelligence with data engineering knowledge required, data warehouse, and some Fabric platform knowledge as well. When I say Fabric platform knowledge, basically things like workspace settings, working with some other areas of the app lifecycle management, etc. So that's the core differences there. So I've gone through this one quite fast, but I didn't take you through all the skills measured. I can put the links for the skills measured actually in the chat quickly for you all here. So Barry. So actually, this is for the actual exam itself. You don't want. So I will put links to both of the exams in the chat for you all. Okay, well, there's the link for the 600. I'll put the link over the 700 exam once we have the next speaker starts presenting, and I figured out exactly what is going on with my keyboard at this moment in time. So I do have advice for the exams anyway. So first of all, go through the relevant study guides. So both the 600 and the 700 exams have study guides that are available online. Take advantage of the Fabric trial license if it's possible. So for example, if you've got access to a tenant view customer developer experience, or if you've got a trial tenant available from your workplace, or if you pay for the trial, or if you have the Microsoft developer network, then get the trial from there. Book the exam when you're ready. So obviously a lot of people rush to do the exams. Take your time, go through the recommended learn material, and then the other material that you think will help you, and then do it when you're feeling confident. Keep an eye out for any name or GUI changes, because there are known to be name changes within Microsoft Fabric. Make the most out of online resources because there are plenty available online. Microsoft provides a lot of Microsoft Learn material. There's a lot of community related material available for both of these as well. And of course, attend relevant events and training days, like for example, Data Weekender, which has covered quite a few different aspects today, some of which relate to exam material. There's some community material as well, and granted, this is from last year and could do with a lot more added. So Nicola, who was a presenter earlier today, he has video about the exam changes. I have a post that also covers about the updates as well, just to state that the 700 is not going to replace the DP 600 basically. And Razorad does a comparison video between the two exams as well. So this is obviously the fast track version of this session for you all. If there are any questions, then feel free to put these into the chat now. I have, I say a few minutes left. So we do have to prepare for James's session shortly, and this was very ad-libbed. So if there's any questions, put them in the chat, or you can reach out to either myself or Pragati after this and after Data Weekender, of course, because we have a couple more sessions to go yet.